Good morning from the coal yard. So 'tis the season, thank you Lucia for the reminder, to prune our kales and cabbages or collards in the attempt to perennialize them. If they have survived the winter, you can usually be really successful in having the same kale plants grow year after year for you. This one here is about 5 years old, or no, my goodness, I think maybe 7 or so. You can tell just how thick the stem is. And so this one requires a bit different pruning techniques. But if you have a kale that is just 1 or 2 years old, what you can do is you can come down here and just snip off the apical meristem. Boop. And usually that's enough to shift the hormone flow to stop it from flowering. And we wanted to stop it from flowering because once it flowers, it'll trigger the plant and be like, aha, I have reproduced, I am successful, and now it is time to go away. I no longer need to be here, and it'll actually start to kill the plant. So snapping off the florets are an important thing to do. With this one though, you can tell that the kale stems almost kind of retain a memory year after year is what some people refer to it as. And so this one here is a cutting from my bigger one that I put in the ground last spring. And it has 3 stems coming out of it. And these are the older stems. So these are probably 2-year-old stems. But this one is a fresh one that just started growing this spring. And as you can tell, this one doesn't have any signs of developing a floret or a flower. It just has some white aphids. Yikes. Aphids already. Anyway, so these guys, though, you can tell they've been around for a while, and they have developed the habit of flowering all along the stem. And so this is really hard to squish this habit of flowering once it is a few years old. And so what I like to do is prune with the intention of the future. And so this one I know will last me another couple of years very well, but this one is done. It's just way too excited about flowering. So I'm gonna go ahead and prune it off and make a nice tasty egg bake with that. And then this one here, if you check out the joints, there's not a whole lot of flowering going on. So I'm gonna keep this one here and just keep an eye on it. I already snipped off the apical meristem, the tip of it, because it was producing a flower on the tip, but otherwise I don't think it's gonna produce flowers on the rest of the stem. So I think we're safe there. And this also just opens up the plant, so it's better to able to fight off all like those disease and pests and aphids and things like that. So that is how to prune a 2 to 3 year old kale plant. When we're dealing with a wonderful craggly old specimen like this one, it's a little bit different, and you almost kind of think of successional pruning. It's kind of how I think of it. And so you can see this one loves to send up shoots from parts of the plant that are below ground, and so these are actually coming off of this stem here, but you can see how baby they are, and so those will last me several more years, where something like this larger one, as you can tell, it is very excited about life and producing flowers. And so not only do we have the tip, the apical one, we also have some other flowers developing in the side shoots. So with that, and based on how crowded it is here in the kale canopy, that's a fun phrase, I am going to go ahead and just remove this one, especially since I have baby ones coming up here. So I know that I will have a good kale supply. And just as you're pruning other trees, try to keep your angle. Same thing applies with other trees, is that, you can prune around your little side shoots. And that is to feed me and the chickens. Yay! And so other things, similar techniques. You can see this stem here is definitely, it's about 3 years old, 4-year-old, and I'm gonna see if maybe I can get some more growth out of it, just because I really like how it's positioned growing out of the bed. But I have my backup here going just in case this gets too, you can kind of really see the shift of the ages on the kale stem, this one to this one. So I might just need to go ahead and take this one down all the way to here. But you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and do that. I think that's the right call to make. Boop. And so that opens this up. I'm gonna get a saw, take out this larger one. Here, again, I have this baby one that's gonna live and grow. Although my pruning cut is really bad, it's really flat, and you wanna be careful about that because you can get center rot going on. So that maybe wasn't the smartest move. And then with that, this stem here, you can see it is several years old. This one might be 3 years old by now. And it is just full of all sorts of happy flowers, which are super tasty, but it doesn't help with our perennializing of the kale plant. So with that, since I have all these other lovely ones going, I could save that one, but at this point in time, I'm just gonna, I need bigger clippers. Cut this whole thing off. And then now we have this really nice open canopy. It's gonna be a lot easier to maintain over the summer from diseases and pests. And then come the winter, it'll have enough time to really put out a whole bunch more growth. So I'm gonna continue on. You can see some of these other stems here, just full of tasty flowers, but not what we're going for. So the keys are, know the age of your stems. Your older ones might want to just are done with, and so then have your backup stems, like either these babies here or this 1-year-old one back there. You can see it's kind of narrow and tiny. All right, I hope that is helpful, and I hope you are having fun and eating lots of tasty greens. Hooray for veggies.